Welcome to the Property Buyble. This show was created for current property owners, people looking to purchase property, and for professionals in the industry. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the first episode of the Property Buyble. My name is Kimberley Ackerman. I'm a buyer's agent working at Trelease Associates in Sydney. And I really wanted a platform in order to share important information, not only to buyers, but to also professionals in the industry. So I decided to put the show together in order to deliver that information on a platform. Today, I'm going to be talking about the basis of everything that we do. And I guess that is, what is a buyer's agent? A lot of people don't know what a buyer's agent is. My mum still thinks I'm a real estate agent, even though I've explained to her multiple times that I do not sell, I buy houses, Mum, but that's another story. So today we're going to be talking about what is a buyer's agent? What do we do? How do we do it? Why do we do it? How much does it cost? What are the things to look out for when you are hiring a buyer's agent? And in order to sort of introduce that topic, I do have my colleague and the Chief Operating Officer of Trelease Associates, Mr. Jeremy Bedwani.
Thanks so much, Kimmy. It's so good to be here.
Thanks for coming, Jez. I think the first thing I want to really touch on is, why is this topic important? What is a buyer's agent?
Sure.
Now, the reason why I wanted to sort of kickstart this series with this particular topic is because it really forms the whole basis of what we do on a day-to-day basis. So why is this topic important? Look, most people I speak to, and I'm sure you would agree, don't know what a buyer's agent is.
100%.
You know, I speak to friends and family and they constantly ask me all the time. They're still a little bit confused about it. So it's only natural for people, especially buyers that are currently in the market at the moment, to not really understand what we do, how we do it, what it costs, those sorts of things. So today I really want to cover all of those elements and really talk about the whys. I mean, the buyer's agent space has been around for at least a decade, but would you agree that probably only the last 5 years or so it's really amped up?
I think it's really taken off in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And look, there's not a large amount of buyer's agents, but the thing is how many of them are actually doing it well?
Correct.
And that's something to kind of cover perhaps as well.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we always talk about the lineal process that we go through. We talk about it at the office a lot.
Yeah.
So the lineal process is really, you know, from beginning to end, what it looks like when you hire a buyer's agent, all the way up until settlement when you're picking up the keys for that property. Now, every buyer's agent works very differently. And I want to talk today very generally about the service, not specifically about what we do or how we do it.
Sure.
But very generally about the service, about the industry, so that people can get out there, shop around, speak to buyer's agents and see who is the best fit for them. And I want to be able to give some of that information so that they know who are the types of people we help and how do we help them.
Sounds good.
As far as the start of the lineal process, would you agree the first step is really discovering the personal side behind the buying?
Yeah, I think we like to really find out what's going on in the lives of these people. Like if you're thinking of buying a property and you're thinking of spending $700,000, $1 million, $5 million, there's got to be something behind that. And before we think we can go out there and solve problems, we like to know what's going on in your world. Why are you even thinking of parting with this amount of money to buy a house? So I think those motivations is where everyone's got to start. And I know we and yourself, we like to find that out about people before we talk about anything else.
Absolutely. I guess if we sort of dive into why would you need a buyer's agent to start with, I think it's fair to say that there has to be a certain element of frustration or pain involved in their process. Pain's quite a strong word to use, but has to be an element of frustration. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, the thing is, right, after we understand that they have a serious reason to buy a property in the first place, we then kind of have to figure out, and people who are listening to this and watching this, they can look at it themselves, right, before they start to consider a buyer's agent. How am I going at this? right? Have I been doing it for a while? Have I been giving it a good crack? Because the people who seem to gravitate towards us as buyer's agents, it's usually people that have gone out there for a fair while, maybe a few weeks, maybe even a few months, and they've just run into lots of troubles doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have the right research behind them. Maybe they've fallen victim to a really vicious auction scenario.
Yeah.
And now they're like, what am I going to do from here?
Absolutely.
I seriously need to buy a property. I've got all these other things going on in my life. And what I've been trying to do to get this property right now, it's not working. And that's usually where they come to us at that point.
Absolutely. I think there's such a huge misconception that you would only hire a buyer's agent if you had very little time and lots of money to spend.
Sure.
And a lot of people say that to me. I mean, we help people anywhere from 400,000 K budgets to 20 million, and upwards. So it's not just about people who don't have the time and have lots of money.
Yeah.
It's about people who need help because
Definitely.
they can't help themselves in some way, shape or form.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Right? And people say to us, oh, I need this because I'm time poor. Well, pretty much everyone's time poor these days anyway, right? So I don't really
Including us.
Including us. So I don't know if that's really enough of a reason to use us. But
Correct.
what you're saying there in terms of the misconception that it's for the super wealthy or whatever, that is a misconception because regardless of someone's budget, people run into the same issues when buying a property.
Yes.
And it's those things that we briefly touched on, right? Maybe it is negotiation. Maybe it is substantiating the right price. If you've got 700 grand to spend or 17 million, it can be hard.
Yeah.
And so they're the kinds of, I guess, problems that we're trying to solve on a daily basis for people.
Definitely. I think there's substantiating value is a big one.
Yeah.
We get these guides often, especially with the on-market property, we get these price guides and people see those price guides, especially new buyers go into the industry and go into the market and see those price guides and think, I'm in with a chance because I've got a pre-approval up to that amount.
Yeah.
I might be able to get this property. And then sometimes the properties end up going for hundreds of thousands of dollars over their budget.
Absolutely. And I also kind of worry a little bit when people come to us and say, oh, the bank gave me this report, which they just generated from like a research portal.
Statistical reports.
That is so out of date anyway. And they think this is going to be what the property sells for. So they worry me as well. And there's a lot more research that has to go into it before you really figure out, should I be buying this property or not?
Absolutely. I could do a whole entire episode on valuing property. I probably spend 2-3 hours valuing one property for a client, not just looking at comparables, but looking at so many different elements. And I just think someone new in the market is not going to know how to go through that process and do those things. So look, valuing property is definitely a big element of it. We've got the due diligence side of things, more than just a pest and building strata reports or the review of the contract. There's a whole checklist of things that we go through when we're trying to establish, are there any skeletons in the closet for that property?
Totally, yeah.
So, I mean, looking at the different elements of why you would hire a buyer's agent or the type of people that need a buyer's agent, you've got your valuations, your due diligence, finding additional stock is a big one.
Yeah, it's huge.
A lot of people aren't able to find the type of property that they want with what's out there on the market. So on Domain, realestate.com and so forth, we obviously get access to a whole range of different off-market opportunities, we call them. So there's off-markets, pre-markets, on-markets, there's all sorts of markets. However, what we're trying to do during this process is put the feelers out there and try and round up as many possible options for that particular person's brief, including things, direct with vendors, through industry professionals that we know. A lot of it's done through real estate agents, but we also find opportunities through other means. Some sellers call us directly to our office sometimes. And if we don't have a client that suits that property specifically, what we will do is we'll refer to a real estate agent that we know in the industry that's trusted, that can help them sell their property in the long run. So there's a few different options. Project management's obviously a big one. We're managing the entire process from beginning to end. We're dealing with, communication with agents, brokers or lenders of any kind, conveyancers, solicitors. So it's taking the stress out of buying, trying to make it a fun process.
If we can,
If we can. A lot of people that come to us have been looking for 12 plus months.
And they
sometimes.
arrive and they get to our office and then they're in the fetal position because they're just so sick of it. They're pulling out their hair and they're just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
We see that as well,
They're
right?
kind of defeated by that stage, I guess you'd say. And I think a big part of before we even begin that process is making sure that someone's expectations are realistic.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
We're very upfront with people from the beginning. You know, we aren't magicians.
Yes.
Well, we are.
Sometimes
in
we
some way.
seem like that, yeah.
We are in some ways, but the biggest thing is we're not there to provide a magical service for someone that perhaps doesn't have enough money to get the type of property that they're after.
What they want. And it's not just about the amount of money. I think the thing is that we all want as much as we can possibly have.
Yeah.
No matter if it's property, we all want as much as we can possibly get,
Yes.
I should say. And the thing is, we need to be really upfront with people around what is realistic and achievable for your budget and what is not.
Yeah.
And our job is to help them understand as many of the boxes we can tick, we will.
Yeah.
But some of them, you're going to have to compromise on some of them.
Yeah.
And it's the same, again, regardless what your budget is, because people have to make compromises when buying property, no matter what budget you have.
Definitely.
And sometimes people come to us with the long laundry list of all the needs and all the requirements. And then, as you know, the budget doesn't align with reality.
Absolutely. I always say to people, you know, during those startup meetings that we have is there are 3 elements to purchasing. You've got your budget, you've got your location, and you've got the quality of the property that you're buying. And I feel like one of them always has to give.
Definitely.
So if you've got, you know, all the money in the world, you can have top quality property in whatever the hell location you want to live in. If you don't necessarily have as much money, you may have to sacrifice the location in which way you want to buy or the quality of the property.
I think that's a great tip, right? And for people who are watching this, listening in, if they've been going out there on a weekly basis and they're banging their head against a brick wall because they just keep missing out, and after you kind of see what that property sells for, if it's 50 grand more or 100 or 200 grand more than what you expected, like you said, something has to give.
Something has to give.
And if you want to, you know, outline those 3 elements, they're really good places to start.
And I think the next really important thing to talk about is, you know, one of the most important things is fees. How much does it cost? I'm sure if the service was free, everyone would hire a buyer's agent, but unfortunately, that's not how it works necessarily.
Yeah.
So just to touch on, you know, generally speaking, every buyer's agent charges different. Some people have a flat rate. And it all depends on requirements as well. We get a lot of different people walk through our doors. So we want to make sure our fees are very customized to the complexity of somebody's brief. Now, on average, buyer's agents will charge, and feel free to jump in, Jez, if you have a different opinion, but anywhere from 1% to 3% of the purchase price.
Yeah, I think like small 1 to 2 man band operators are at that real lower end.
Yep.
For more established, bigger groups like ourselves, I think people will have to expect 2 to 3.
2 to 3%.
Yeah.
So normally what happens is there's a small retainer taken up at the beginning of the process to kickstart the brief. And similar to our service, that retainer will then come off that percentage right at the end, only once we've exchanged on a property. Now, sometimes we do charge flat fees. Some people prefer flat fees.
Sure.
But depending on the type of property that we're looking for and how complicated it is, we might be looking for a general, everyday, standard 3-bedroom home in the inner west, for example, or we might be doing a commercial development that we're finding for a developer with, you know, particular aspects that are quite complicated. It might take up to 6 months to look for something like that.
Yep.
So service fees can vary greatly depending on the requirements, depending on the agency, depending on the buyer's agent. So it's important to explore that when you're going through the process.
Yeah, and then it's down to the individual to kind of go out there and really work out if the fit's there for them based on the fees as well.
Definitely. So, I mean, look, that's sort of a wrap up for today. We really covered everything from a general overview perspective of what is a buyer's agent, what are the types of people that we help, and how do we help them. I guess some of the things to take away from this are make sure that you explore your options, make sure that the buyer's agent on the other end has an understanding of your needs and your requirements and is also making sure that there's a fit for you while you're making sure that there's a fit for you. go through the prices, make sure that they fit with you, understand that there are different levels of service involved with the buyer's agent process. You may want a very low level service, or you may need someone to completely take the reins and provide top level tier service for you during this process. You may have looked for over 12, 16, 18 months and be over it. So there's different things you have to think of. Make sure your buyer's agents are licensed in the particular state that they're looking for you in. And, check their experience. What have they bought? Are they familiar with the areas that you're looking at? And I guess above all else, make sure that they're the right fit for you. Everyone has a different personality, a different style. You're going to be talking with these people on a daily, weekly basis. So it's really important you get along with them, you vibe with them, and they're basically the right fit for you in your search.
Yeah, you want to go with someone who you're comfortable with at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
It's a massive transaction. It's a massive purchase.
Yeah.
So you got to feel comfortable with that person from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. But that's it from us. Thank you so much for listening to, everything we have to say about the service. Hopefully it helps people out there understand the buyer's agent area a little bit more, and, helps people to be open to the service more than anything. It doesn't cost anything to explore that service. And if it can help you in some way and add value to what you're already doing, might as well give it a shot.
Awesome, Kim. It's been great to be here. Thanks so much. And let's just hope that the name of your show hasn't offended too many parishioners out there, right?
Hopefully not. So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Jez, for your time. It's much appreciated. Look forward to seeing everybody for the next episode. Hope you've learned something today, and we'll see you soon.